Hey y'all, how are you? It's been a while, like 8 months while, and then before that it was on and off. I think I might have posted a couple of videos. And I'm starting a chat series, maybe other things like behind the scenes, because there are going to be some changes in the studio over the next couple of months. For one, I'm going to be rearranging. For two, I might be getting a new studio. So anyway, let's start with what's been going on and address the elephant in the room. I have been absent for about a year and a half, give or take. I was using the bulk, and I'm still in some ways using the bulk of my energy to survive. Part of that has been hiding because of depression and complex PTSD. I have been healing from physical and mental, emotional illness. Back over the summer, my birthday, as a matter of fact, the kids were here and it was Shark Week in July, and Victor had just had his 13th birthday, and we every year celebrate Shark Week. David had made me a meal. He had made me shrimp fettuccine alfredo, which I absolutely love. It's like one of my favorite things to eat. He made this wonderful dinner, but I was feeling very nauseated and just off. I didn't eat very much of the meal. I laid down on the sofa, and Selena laid down on the sofa with me, and we watched Shark Tales. Then we watched a documentary about sharks. I fell asleep. Selena fell asleep with me on the couch, which was not very comfortable. Our couch pulls out to a sofa bed, and normally I pull it out. I ended up getting up and doing that. But anyway, to make a long story short, the next morning by like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I was feeling absolutely awful. Very early in the morning, I want to say like maybe around 7 or so, I contacted my daughter's boyfriend and let him know if he could please pick up the kids, because I was going to go to the ER or to urgent care. Called my doctor's office and they couldn't see me. Well, I ended up going to the ER. After the kids were picked up, I went and took a shower, and I ended up laying down and taking a nap. And then after I woke up from the nap, I went to the ER. I was in the ER for about 12 and a half, 13 hours. It was my gallbladder. They did ultrasound and some stuff, and I had gallstones, and my gallbladder was very, very enlarged, which would explain why I kept walking around feeling like some days I would wake up in the morning and look and feel like I was 10 months pregnant, maybe 12. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was having severe stomach problems. Now, I already have like GERD and a few things like that, like acid reflux and IBS. So in the beginning, why is that doing that? In the beginning, I really didn't think it was something that serious. I thought maybe the GERD was acting up or the IBS was acting up or something, but it ended up being gallstones. Within a week, I was meeting with the surgeon, and then I came back and I had outpatient surgery and had my gallbladder removed. Over the past 6-7 months, I have lost about 40 pounds. About a good 15 pounds of it went that very first week after my gallbladder was removed. Since having my gallbladder removed, I could only eat very small meals, and I had to be very careful about what I ate. So since then, I have lessened my portion. I have been exercising portion control. Over the past year or so, I've been drinking more water. And then a few months ago, I ended up with an infection, and they put me on an antibiotic. I had a UTI, and they put me on an antibiotic, and I had an allergic reaction to the antibiotic. And they were like, stop taking the antibiotic. So anyway, now they need to do some tests to make sure that everything is okay with things. Since all of that happened, for a good 14 months or so of that year and a half, maybe 13 or 14 months, I barely journaled or planned. And that's a big deal for someone who's been journaling since they were 7 years old. For a little bit over 50 years, I have been journaling. That was major. When I did start journaling again, on and off, most of it was done in my bedroom. Like, I had backpacks and bags, like that one, and there's a backpack down here. There's 2 backpacks down here. I had all this stuff piled around me in the bed with my like lap desk, I will call it. My husband kept going, "Are you going to go back to the barn? You going to leave all this stuff in the bedroom? You've got a mess in here." And I have 2 cardboard boxes from that where Amazon stuff came in that I have filled with different things that I put to the side when I was trying to get back into journaling, because it just wasn't that, some of that wasn't working for me. Things had changed over the course of time, and I found that what was working before wasn't really working very well. I did not buy a Hobonichi for this year. I do have an A6 from 2025 that I'm in the process of redoing, and I am doing recipes in it. I am drawing them and writing the recipes down. I have a Pocket TN, and I have some other things. I'm back to using my Janelli fish, which is a trifold, and it has a standard Sterling Ink compact planner, and then it also has what this is. I'm gonna have to glue that. It was a 2024 Sterling Ink full year. I cut the planning part out of it because 2024 I went back and forth with some things, and I am using the journal pages for studio stuff, and it goes in the trifold in here because this is what I'm writing out ideas. Before I started using it for this, I wrote foods to help with the liver. I did a little thing about Bigfoot. And then I started doing 2026 with the planners and the journaling, planning and journaling. I started writing out information for this coffee chat. That's what we're going to talk about now. Sometimes change happens no matter how much we resist. Back in the beginning of 2023, I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, as well as having depression and severe anxiety. I fought it, and I kept being triggered. I went through grief counseling after my brother passed away. I found my brother deceased, me and my son, and that triggered traumatic experience from when my daddy died when I was 7. My mom passed out during the funeral, and I thought she died too. I had some very, very traumatic memories from that time period. And so finding my brother, and my brother and I look, both of us, exactly like our daddy. Me and my brother actually could have passed for fraternal twins. Pretty close. Being triggered kept causing things to get worse. Forward a year and a half, give or take, the gallbladder surgery, the allergic reaction to the antibiotic, some deaths in my family. At the end of 2023, I had a cousin pass away. I had an uncle pass away in 2024. Had an aunt at the beginning of 2025. And then my uncle just passed away a couple of hours before New Year's came in. Yesterday, attended his memorial service. He and his wife both died of cancer, and they were married for 38 years. This uncle was only a decade older than me. He was my mom's youngest brother. My mom is the 4th child. He was the 10th child. Just at my birthday is when I had the gallbladder issues, and then July 31st, August 1st is when I had the gallbladder surgery. But since then, I have been healing, both mentally and physically. Like I said, I've lost around 40 pounds, maybe a little bit over that now. Over the past 8 months, I've been working on portion control like I talked about. So I'm down at least 2 full sizes, sometimes depending on the brand, 3. And it's not about the size. It's not about the weight. Unfortunately, I have lost some muscle. I don't know why that's doing that, why it's glitching, but I might end up having to get a new one of these. So anyway, unfortunately, during this period of time, because I was bedridden for a good little while after the gallbladder surgery, and before that, I wasn't bedridden, but I was severely depressed. So I wasn't physically active. I was much more sedentary. So over the past year and a half, I've lost quite a bit of muscle. Because of all of this, my plans for 2026, what I was originally going to do in 2026, when I was thinking about 2026 at the end of last year, changed due to a number of factors. Now, because I am stronger, I'm getting there. I'm a bit stronger now than I was. This glitching thing is going to get on my nerves. I am much stronger than I was, and I'm getting stronger every day. I am healing, like I said, mentally and physically. My goals are definitely more of not a task-oriented thing, but more of I want to learn and grow as a person and as a creator. I want to stop resisting the changes that I need to make and start embracing the changes. Over the years, I've done my own thing, as well as followed trends. And then some years I've done a lot of going my own way, following my own path. And then there have been some times when I've definitely been more of a following the trends. Trends from the Hobonichi, Phobonichi, Omni journaling, bullet journaling creatively, the Hobonichi cousin as a planner, the Hobonichi cousin as a journal. Like I said, when the planners first started coming out at the end of 2025 in September, October, I had started to plan out things. I was thinking, I'm going to come back. I'm coming back. What do I need? I ordered the Aura Estelle A5 magnet. I should have gotten the B6. I got the B6 2-part sterling ink planner. I ordered a B6 Tomo River journal. I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff. I actually got the Angel Shop non-dated A5, and I'm going to be using that for a completely different thing. It won't be a planner. I love the paper in it, but it's not for me as a planner. Let's just say that. But by the time these things came in, and it took a good while for the Angel Shop planner and the Aura Estelle magnet to come in, both of those were A5s, I realized that I had, let's see, the first day that I journaled in this was the 9th of December. Now this is a sterling ink. It is the 500 and something number of pages. And this has become my, I have a B6 with what has like 400 or 500 pages in it that I started in, I want to say maybe November. And I'm going back and forth in them. But I have found that the standard, which is why the sterling ink planner and the sterling ink journal that was a planner and I cut the planner pages out of it, I have been putting it in here. Everybody's going crazy with the Republic Traveler's Notebooks, whatever that is called, and the Louise Carmen ones, and a lot of people are making their own. It's like the Traveler's Notebooks have done another, like absurd, they're like, whoo, becoming popular again, very trendy again. They've always been trendy. Sometimes other things take more, like the Hobonichi has always been trendy, and I think it always will be. Sterling ink has become extremely popular. There are a lot of, I've tried the Just Scribbles plans one. I tried a lot of different ones because I was trying really hard last year to get back into planning, to get back into creating. So I did a lot of different journaling and planning. I tried doing it all in one again, like doing my journaling in the planner and things like that. I even have a B5 sterling ink compact planner, and I've had her, I'll call it the compact notebook B5 for years now. I think I got that in 2023. I was going to use that for home or for studio because it's bigger, and I still may have some studio stuff in it. I'm still putting stuff in the B5 notebook. I, however, am not really using the planner. So some of these things are going to be repurposed maybe for next year, or it might just be repurposed for something else. But what I found, I'm going to read this verbatim. So some of these are great things for like the studio, are great things for like the house, are great things for some kind of project. But I have fallen in love with the standard size. The larger amount of pages notebook from Sterling Ink is my everything journal. It's what they call the N1 size. The standard compact planner, the B6 too. I'm using them for different things. It's become my main planner along with this notebook. So I'm using this notebook that I'm reading from. It is for brain dumps. It's for what I'm like when I'm outlining a video, when I'm doing things like that. I had decided to make good use of it because I could not stand all of those blank pages in the back of that planner that had not been used. I need to make use of what I have, and whether that's repurposing something for this year or repurposing things that I got for this year for next year, or for a completely different thing like recipes, or I have a commonplace book, I have an idea notebook, I have a lot of different things. But I'm trying to make things more simple, to simplify things. And I chose the standard as my main stuff, and the B6 as supplemental for like more personal stuff. I have health and wellness and stuff. I will get to that very soon. I have other things like I wanted to be able to take out the Sterling ink compact and bring it with me to the doctor's office without carrying the traveler's notebook. Now, the Scabbard's notebook, it is absolutely gorgeous, and I could very well put it in my purse. But some days my shoulders bother me, and I don't carry a lot of things in my bag when my shoulders are bothering me. Like I said, I'm going to get to the video where I talk about my journals and planners. I'm using the standard size for a planner, a journal, my tarot journaling, and things like that. Like, I've got my journal, planner, like the main idea brain dump stuff for, I'm going to call it the messy planning. It's the messy planning notebook. I've been like catching up in some things because I really wanted to figure out, because it is the beginning of January, and this is the month where you figure things out, right? Where you, for a lot of people, we start things, we get these things at the end of the year, and we're so excited. Sometimes we start them early, like the Hobonichi weeks. I think many people start those back in November, December. Some people hold off and they don't start anything until January the 1st. Well, this year, the very end of December was also in that first week with January the 1st. But over a decade ago, I started my journey on YouTube, all because of it was NaNoWriMo. But that led me down the rabbit hole of BookTube, JournalTube, PlannerTube. I fell in love with all these creative possibilities, all this inspiration that was out there, and I was in awe. And I remember sitting in front of my computer with this really, really old Logitech. It's like a 110 or so. It was like, it's really old. My son has it, as a matter of fact. It still works. And I didn't know how to edit videos. I had no idea. So when I filmed a video, I had to film it several times. Sometimes it was 10 takes. And just put it up. I had no idea about editing. I learned all that. Movie Maker was my first editing experience with editing videos. And I actually miss Movie Maker. But I remember setting up this Filofax as my writing Bible. And I had a Filofax Domino. And I also kind of set it up as a planner. I was like, this is not going to work. It worked for me way back in the day. I had one of those like Franklin Covey's. Or I think that might have been what I had. But I had used literary things for the, those dashboards. I had quotes and all kinds of things from authors. But like I said, I found that I'm okay with rings as using it for reference material or using it for storage, but it's not something that I want to be using every single day. I found my way into the Hobonichi and the Fobonichi rabbit holes and fell in love. I've talked about this many, many times. Payless Blue, My Life Mitts, Courtney Diaz, Miss Vicky B, Romney from Romney's Realm. There are quite a few people, and something Bento, I can't remember her first name. I fell in love because it was life journaling, and it had some planning in it. And I was like, well, that's part of life, So thus the Omni Journal became my big thing. The Omni Journal became my big thing because using a Fobonichi, you could set it up however you wanted to, and then, you became the master of what was in your journal planner, and you could set it up however you wanted to. My planning system, for the most part, has always been a calendar and lists. But I found myself working, like I said, in that Fobonichi, and then the Omni Journal and the Hobonichi, and I began to combine planning and journaling. And then as I did that, it worked really well for quite a while, but there were things that I didn't like about the combination. Now, the Omni Journal works well. There are definitely times when I find myself needing to simplify things and go back to that sort of method, the one thing to rule them all. And the Sterling ink stuff really works well for that. If you want to combine your journaling and planning into one functional that includes form and function. If that's your jam, then the Sterling ink, and there are several other things that work really well. But I find myself, after a while, finding things a bit too cluttered. And my ADHD brain goes, whoa, wait a minute, what the hell? Where is this? I can add journaling to my planning, but I have a really hard time adding planning to my journaling, if that makes sense. The little box of the to-dos, like when I am in the planning mode, when I sit down and I'm in planning mode, it doesn't bother me to do journaling on those pages. But when I'm in journaling mode, writing a to-do list, unless it's on a sticky note, it's not my jam. Now, I've added a bit of it in there, like I've done it a little bit. You'll see it on and off when I do a flip. I find it's about my ADHD, or at least maybe it has something to do with it. But fast forward a decade, from a decade ago, a little bit more than a decade ago, when I fell down the Hobonichi, Omni Journal, bullet journaling, life journaling, when I fell down that rabbit hole. And here it is now, and it's 2026. I published my very first video on YouTube October 14th of 2014, because that was my daughter's birthday. It's been 11 and a half years, almost 11 and a half years. And I think I figured some things out, or at least as I've been growing and changing, and as I went through this big shift during the surviving and hiding and healing part of my life. And I say that because I still have complex PTSD. I still have depression and anxiety and ADHD. Those are not things that are ever going to go away. However, how I deal with things changes as I learn and grow, and I grow stronger, and I learn more about what works for me as a coping mechanism. Over the years, there have been progressive steps as I have learned what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And as things change in my life, sometimes those things change. But it's all brought me to this place, this combination of things. Originally, like I said, I had different plans for 2026. But as I began to test things and waited for things to come in, but in November, I was really testing the standard and the B6. And I found that what I originally thought was not what, it may have been what I wanted, but it was not what I needed. At least, not right now. My needs may change in the future. If that happens, I'll roll with those changes. So like I said, the next video will be what I'm doing in 2026, what I'm using, how I'm using it, and what I think about some of the other things. I'm going to show you probably all of the things, and we'll see how I've dabbled in some of it to test things. And we're also going to do a video about the studio, because I have, if you looked over here, you'd see a bunch of boxes with stuff in it and a bunch of empty boxes that I need to sort through, because I'm going to be reorganizing a lot of things and getting rid of some things. I still need to finish the music canceling, but David told me we may not do that in here because he's going to be taking the panels down and putting different insulation up. Maybe because he may be turning this into a jam cave. I may be redoing Calyx units. I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet. I don't know, because I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know for sure. I will know more on Tuesday. Dave and I are supposed to go look at a classroom, one of those mobile classrooms. It's like a 10 or a 12 by 20 or 24 or whatever. It was used as a classroom. We'd have to change the heating and air in it and some things, but it already has walls and ceilings and lights, although they're fluorescent lights, so I'm going to have to change a bunch of bulbs, or the long kind. Anyway, so like I said, there's going to be a lot of things. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Be what you want to be, not what others want to see. And throughout this whole process of the last year and a half, I have learned a lot of things about myself. And one of those things I actually have on my journal. Note to self, you got to do this for you. This is for you. This isn't about anybody. Live for you. Honor you. Never lose sight of that. That's one of the quotes. I realized this year that this was about This is about what makes me feel motivated. It's about what makes me feel inspired. It's about what makes me happy. Breathe, darling. This is just a chapter. It's not your whole story. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time. Sometimes it's just about rolling with what I'm faced with for today. Sometimes it's about rolling with how I physically feel. Sometimes it's about rolling with how I mentally and emotionally feel. And the same goes with my journaling. My planning's a bit different, but the journaling, that's pretty much how it is. So I am trying to follow it's about what I need, not necessarily what I want. And I didn't buy any new planner covers, not for this year. I am using what I already had gotten last year. And we're going to go from there because I have my other traveler's notebook, which I have put 2 patches on. That's the one for tarot. My passport is also the little black leather one. And then that's it, y'all. I will see y'all again really soon. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome new people. Welcome new people. And for some of you been around for a long time or a short while or in the middle, I appreciate all of your love and support during this time. And I'm back for real now. So I will see y'all again real soon. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see. I could do time-lapse cleaning of the studio videos. I do some of that for Patreon. Just let me know what y'all like to see. Journal with me, plan with me, more coffee chats, behind the scenes in the studio, watercolor, whatever. Y'all let me know and I'll try to make some of those things happen. Bye y'all. Have a good one. See you real soon. Take care.